Did you know that 90% of the world's millionaires invest in real estate? Well, I'm Angel with the Academy Presents Real Estate Investing Rocks, and I'm here to help you if you want to go for your piece of that pie. Whenever I think about us purchasing like our single family homes or like we're trying to build a quad, I think about like, I don't necessarily think in terms of like return and cash on cash and all of that stuff. I'm more in terms of like, okay, what's the bottom line on this? What's the lowest price we can negotiate for this? And when we negotiate for that, what does that look like on the rents? And so we often use that 1% rule just because it's fast and it's easy. And so it's proven to be pretty good for us. It's hard though to transfer that single family knowledge to the multifamily frontier because it's a whole different ball game. I'm going to throw baseball stuff at you now, even though I'm totally not familiar with baseball myself. But it's completely different because whereas like with a single family, you can just get a realtor involved. When you go multifamily, a lot of times you're going to have a lawyer involved because you've got to have your PPM and you've got to make sure that if you're syndicating, you're following all those SEC laws and you're not doing anything crazy. And it's, I really like the fact that you found a mentor that you felt sure of to work with, because I think that that's really important too. I think that before somebody makes a big leap into something like multifamily, it's really important to get someone that's going to help you cut off some of that learning curve and take a little bit of the fear away. And depending on who you choose to work with, you do also get a piece of their network too, because it's kind of like, I equate it to kind of being like in a fraternity or a sorority. It's like you're kind of becoming a member of that club. And so you get some benefit there of saying, oh yeah, I work with so-and-so, or I know so-and-so, I'm in so-and-so's deal. And it gets you a little bit of credibility. And it gets you a little bit of their expertise, even though you may be brand new.
Yeah, well, it's more than anything, it's, get yourself educated, right? How do you do that, right? There's a number of different ways. I route of getting a mentor and paying someone to be my coach, right? Because they always say, like, Michael Jordan even had a coach, but that's not the only way you can do it. And you can find a mentor, right? It's talked about all the time. Find a mentor, right? And he's a mentor to me, but I paid for it. But you can get it for free. And how do you do that, right? You find someone in your market that's doing what you want to do, or even with bigger pockets and with with Zoom and everything these days, you might not necessarily need to be that, but you can find a mentor and do it like that. And we can get into, if you want, how to find a mentor, but that's a whole different subject. Or you can just go work for someone for free. That's it's kind of like finding a mentor, but find someone that's doing something in your market, works for them for free. They say provide value, right? But what does value even mean? When I was starting out, I always heard provide value, but what does that even mean? What does the word value even mean? Well, find something that they need, that they have a problem with, something that you could help fix for them, right? If someone's in your market and you want to be in multifamily and they're looking at new properties, well, say that you go secret shop those properties for them, right? Because you've got to do rental analysis as part of multifamily. So it's all based on income in multifamily. So the rents play a huge part of it. You've got to have a real good feel for what rents will be at your property once you take it over, right? What it is currently or what you can kind of achieve. So one way to do that is to go secret shop the competition that's around the area. You go to there and you find out what rents are, what the square footage are, what amenities they have, what do the units look like and whatnot. So someone starting out could do that, right? Very easily. You go secret shops because someone is always going to do that. You always got to get the rental costs. So you can do that and you can provide value in that way. So that's another way. But you've got to get educated, right? You've got to find a way to get educated, because it's not like you talked about. There's so much more sophistication. There's so much more complexities to multifamily as opposed to single family. And it's, everyone can do it. Absolutely everyone can do it. But you need to understand that it's not like buying a single family home where you just, you can use a realtor, you get a lender, you sign on the loan, and yeah, of course it's not easy. That's not easy in itself, and then you get a renter in, right? There's so much more that can go wrong, and not to scare anyone. The rewards are bigger, but that's why not everyone does multifamily, right? There's more people probably now than have ever been doing it, but still not for everyone because of that sophistication and because of those complexities.
Yeah. So you said you secret shopped. What kind of, like, if someone chose to do that, what could they expect in return for it?
Yeah, it could be a few things. Could be that I don't think they should expect anything to start off with, right? I don't think you should expect anything. I think you should do it just to get close to that person, and if you know, hopefully that person will then want to keep you around. So yeah, but I think what you should hope for is that you can create a relationship with that person that is successful in your market doing, you know, if we use the multifamily, for example, the secret shop, you know, that person will let you keep around. Well, you know, through osmosis, maybe you can hang around with them and then you're going to learn what they learn, or they might actually take time to learn. But it's hard for these people because they're successful for a reason, right? They don't have an infinite amount of time. You know, they've got 24 hours in a day just like us, and if they're successful, I'm sure they're very busy. So you don't want to be there draining their time, right? You don't sucking their time away from stuff that they could be doing, but they might let you hang around with you, and then slowly as you build trust and they know that you know that there's someone that they can trust, they might let you do a few things for them, you know, more in that business, I don't know, and they might show you how they underwrite, because then they want you to maybe start underwriting for them, and then once you start underwriting for them, you maybe become part of the business, or simply, you know, you just learn a few things and then you go off on your own. But I don't think you should expect too much. I think you should just focus on trying to do as much as you can for that person and helping that person as much as you can. And through that, hopefully you can just be around that person. Because, for example, if you're going to secret shop for someone, they're going to teach you how to secret shop, right? They're not just going to send you, hey, go to this apartment complex and tell me what rent is. No, they're going to tell you, okay, when you go to this apartment, I want you to tell me how the leasing agent treats you. I want you to tell me how you feel about the apartment. Does it have deferred maintenance? How clean is the place? What kind of tenant base do they have there when you get in the unit? Do they stage the unit? What kind of condition is the unit in? What is the rent? Are they offering any concessions? You know, what is the pet fees? What amenities they have? You know, and through that, okay, now all of a sudden you know what to look for in rental comps, right? Because if we say someone starting out tries to do rental comps, they might compare a property that's a 2004 to a property that's a 1960, you know, and one that's 100 units and one that's a 10 unit, you know, that's not an apples to apples comparison. That's something you have to be very careful of when you're running your rent comps. And one might be 5 miles away and one might be 0.1 miles away or across the street, you know, it's not, so you need to understand that, you know, so, you know, through that you might learn, and, you know, you're going to you're going to learn what it is to do rent comps, and, you know, piece by piece you'll learn how to invest in multifamily investing.
Wow, that's awesome. So I've heard people say that they're boots on the ground for someone. How is that different from being a secret shopper?
Boots on the ground can absolutely be a secret shopper, but it might be someone's, you know, there's a whole host of stuff you can do. Someone could be out of state and they need boots on the ground in that area. A successful person with multifamily investor could be out of state and they need someone to maybe meet with brokers. They might need someone to go interview property managers. They might need someone to go see the property at night. When, you know, what does the property look at night? It might be someone that finds out who the owners are so they can contact the owners. There's a whole host. It might be meeting with contractors. It might be meeting with investors. It could be a whole host of stuff. But the boots on the ground thing just basically means that you're someone that's in that market that can do stuff that maybe that person can't because they're in another state. Okay. To me, that's what that means to me.
Yeah, well, and I like the way too that you said, you know, when I asked you, what should you expect? You were like, well, you shouldn't expect anything. Because I think that, especially right now, with so many precautions and just the COVID precautions, I think people are kind of dismissing maybe that need for those personal relationships. Mm-hmm. But I almost want to say that those personal relationships are even more important now. Even though the precautions mean less of a face-to-face, hands-on experience, those relationships are still super important. So if you don't know how to underwrite, or you don't know how to do rent comps, or you don't know how to do those things, but you're wanting to get involved, you could absolutely reach out and say, I can go secret shop for you, or, I can go and check out something you need me to check out, because I think that more people are backing off from those kinds of things right now, just out of fear. And just because there's so much that's unknown about the current pandemic.
Yeah, well, the great thing as well with Zoom now is, and there's other ones, but Zoom I think is the main one that everyone's using these days. Is that you can reach so many more people, right? It's like we've never met, but I feel like we have. It's like we're talking in person almost now to some extent, right? I can look you in the eye, I can see your facial expressions, the color of your hair, everything like that. So I think that's huge in Zoom now, that you can create these relationships. Virtually. And yeah, like you said, people, people might be scared to have those interactions. So if you're willing to go out there and do that and pound the pavement, as it were, and to do stuff that maybe someone doesn't want to do, well, you can probably get a leg ahead of other people as well.
Yeah. I'm constantly trying to think of ways to help people who are wanting to get started, because we got started in single family. So I can tell you all day long how to get started in single family. But for people that are wanting to skip that step, which you absolutely can skip that step. For people that are wanting to skip that step, I'm trying to think of ways to help people discover what that is, because it would be something new to me as well. Because again, I started in single family.
Yeah, well, I think there's a few different ways for sure. It depends what your goals are, where you are, right? If you have money, a great way I would say is to invest passively in someone's deal, right? If you have a few $100,000, say, and maybe not so much time, because it depends, right? If where you are, what your job is, what you're doing, right? If you're extremely busy, you're working 10, 12 hours a day, it's going to be hard for you to go secret shop people's apartment complex or do all these other stuff, right? But you can invest passively in someone's deal if you have a ton of money, and you'll kind of learn from that as well, and you'll create a relationship with the general partner or the general partners, and maybe from that you can kind of learn from them as well and kind of get into the game like that. But then if you're someone who has maybe no money but you have more time, right, you can go do these things and learn, and it's go to meetup events and meet people, and the good thing is now, back to the virtual thing and the online thing, there's so many. I've been to so many meetups that are all over the country now, but they're hosting them virtually, so that's been really cool for me, and people can do that. And it's just about educating yourself. It's sounds boring, right? You want to get in the deals and stuff, but it's about educating yourself, reeling. And there's so much resources now. It's amazing. There's so many resources out there for you to learn. There's so many YouTube channels, Facebook groups, Bigger Pockets, podcasts. We both have our own interview-based platform that you get guests and you learn, and you kind of do that. And yeah, it's just, you can absolutely just believe, right? You've got to believe in yourself that you can do it. But at the same time, don't be too arrogant with it, and just dive head first. And you got to be careful as well not to waste people's time, right? What can you offer someone, right? You could say, hey, I'm going to do rental comps for you, I'm going to do this, but then you have no time, or you can't do it for whatever reason. Well, do you think that person's going to work with you again if you just that you sort of, hey, I'm going to do rental comps for you? Okay, cool. Okay, that helps me. And then you don't do it for 2 weeks. Well, that deal is probably gone, or they've had someone else do it, or they've had to do it themselves. And what kind of impression does that make? So it's just just like anything, make sure you treat people right and do what you say you're going to do and everything like that.
Yeah. So I was kind of thinking another way to get involved passively as well is you can get into a deal that is the 50, is it? Oh, I'm going to get it wrong, but the B, not the C.
Yeah. Not accredited, sophisticated.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes those are smaller deals. So you might be able to get into one of those for, $25,000 to $40,000, and you don't have to have $100,000 sitting somewhere. But in order to get into one of those where you don't have to be sophisticated, you have to have an actual established relationship with someone on the operating team. And going to meetups would be a way to start that relationship and get that relationship going. And it'll help you out too. Part of me wishes that we had started that way, because being accredited cuts some of the red tape, but sometimes that red tape is necessary because it's there to kind of save your butt. Um, so going to meetups and actually having a tried and true tested relationship with an operating team can be a really good way to get in passively for, say, $25,000. It might be a smaller deal, it might not be, but to get into that deal, get into it passively, and you might even be able to get in good enough with the operating team that they let you be a part of what's going on without being a part of the GP, so that you could learn the process, learn what they're doing without necessarily having to I'm not saying that you wouldn't be active in it, but your active role wouldn't be like the make or break of the deal. You would be able to participate, but not at such a necessary level. I don't know how to word that better, but there's so many pieces to the GP, and it's like, and I don't even know all the pieces, but I know enough to know there are a ton of pieces. Whether you're in charge of the newsletter, or you're in charge of the CapEx, or you're in charge of making sure all the maintenance is getting taken care of. I mean, and then each one of those pieces has a million pieces in it, and it can be really overwhelming. And I think that's why it's so important to have a really good operating team. And where those meetups really come in handy is you get to meet those operators, and you get to do that personal vetting. So yeah.
Well, you know, no operator is going to say, "Hey, I don't want money," right? Within reason, right? If you're, you know, if you align with what they're trying to do and their goals, you know, and mostly it's when they're working with investors, it's to raise money, right? They want to work with the right type of investor, because you don't want, you know, the wrong type of investor in there who's going to make the deal a nightmare and going to cause all kinds of problems. But, you know, most investors, they want money. Most GPs, they want money in the deal, right? So if you can say, hey, yeah, I'm not an accredited, but I'm sophisticated, and they're doing a 506B, and we have a prior relationship, you know, I can invest 25,000, but would you mind if I helped in some way? Could I help in a way? Maybe, you know, I'm really good with filming. You know, I've done some video. Can I come to the property and do a promo video? Maybe I've got a draw, you know, I'm just using an example. That might be you, you know, and can I go there and film the property and send that to you? And if you guys want to use it, that's great. If you're not, okay, I completely understand. And then you just start building a relationship with that. And then maybe another deal comes in and you have another 25,000 maybe, you know, and then you invest in that again, and you offer to do the same, or you offer to do something else. Now you've built in that relationship, and maybe you've met them in person, and you know, you get on a call with them, and you don't want to take too much of their time, but you're trying to provide something for them, that solving a problem for them that they have, and through that, yeah, you can kind of do it like that. But even if you just invest, say, in 2 deals and they don't help you in any way except for learning how they do it, right? Because usually they'll have some kind of webinar up front, you know, about the deal. So, you know, those are really good for people, because then you get on their list as well, and they're going to tell you about future deals. So you see, okay, this deal is blah, blah, blah. It's, you know, it's advertising a 17% IRR, a 8% preferred return. And you like start learning about that terminology and what they offer and why they offer it. And then they'll tell you in the webinar why they like the deal. You might see some interaction between the questions that investors ask, or potential investors, so you learn what kind of stuff they ask, you know, so you're just around it. So just by osmosis, by being around it, even if they don't do anything to help you, you see all these things. And then again, you see, you know, they'll tell you, okay, we're at 90% occupied this month, we hope to be at 92% by next month, because we're doing this and this. We're holding tenant parties, we're having this party, and blah, blah, blah. And you see, okay, they do all these things. And just by reading all that, you kind of learn that process as well, just by being around it, you know. So it's just by being around it, just find a way to be around this business, right? And you're going to learn. And as long as you want to learn as well, right? If you want to learn, if you're just like, yeah, I heard that I should be in multifamily, I heard that, you know, it's a better investment than a single family, but okay, I don't really have any interest, or I don't spend any time in it whatsoever. Well, how successful you're going to be. But if you're like, okay, this is awesome, I love this, I want to own one day, I want to do whatever it takes to be that, you're going to find a way to learn, right? If you don't, you're either going to find a way, you're going to find an excuse, right? So it's just.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Find a way or find an excuse.
Yeah, I didn't coin that. I can't claim that.
Oh, well, I've heard it a couple of times, but I don't
know who came up with it, but yeah, it's so true.
It is. It's profound, really.